Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale Batman Arkham figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the Hot Toys exclusive purple and gold version of Arkham Knight Batgirl. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. If you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as brand new Arkham content goes live on the channel. Most of you watching probably don't know how much I love the Batman Arkham line because I barely ever get to talk about it. Every now and then, they'll drop an exclusive recolor like this Batgirl or Gold Batman Beyond, but other than that, main characters, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, the Nightwing prototype they showed off, Arkham Origins Batman, we've been waiting years for them. I'm hoping one day we get them, but for right now, we're stuck with exclusive recolors. Not complaining, I'm still really excited for this. As for Batgirl's box art, her chest symbol up front done in metallic gold, same thing for all of the other gold accents, nice and shiny, a honeycomb pattern Arkham A behind the bat symbol, and her name down below, plus an Arkham Knight game logo. This box art design is easily one of my new favorites in the line. The metallics help, but I promise you, I'm not a magpie, that's not the only reason why I love this. It's mostly the color palette. But it's also the metallics. It's Gleam City right now under my studio lights. Everything is nice and shiny. Around the back, a massive Arkham A with the warnings, legal information, and Hot Toy store locations nestled within it. In traditional Batman Arkham line fashion, this box is not covered by a slipcover. Instead, it opens up like a book. The top flap is held in place with magnets. Underneath it, an open window showcasing the figure and all of her accessories inside, then some figure photography on the underside of that lid. Oh, I can already tell, I'm so freaking glad I got this. Folks were on the fence because this is not a game-accurate color scheme for this outfit for Batgirl. But something about the metallic gold and purple, with this armored look, just works for me. First in-hand impressions, so far so good, except for one thing, which we will be discussing later. What we're going to do now is get all of Batgirl's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything she comes with. Starting off with the display base first, look, they've been pretty consistent with the Arkham figures coming with rectangular bases like Batgirl's, but a couple of them have strayed away from this. Arkham City Batman oval stand, then Prestige Arkham Knight Batman had the Age of Ultron base mold with the angled edges, and XE Suit Batman did come with a rectangular stand, but there were diorama bits underneath it. Honestly, that's not a bad track record. I've seen other lines with way more inconsistent base mold choices. Up top, a metallic gold bat symbol, honeycomb pattern in the background, and some shiny gold panel lines. Around the front, purple nameplate that's been printed, I think, then metallic foil for the Batman symbol and Batgirl, then up top, a height adjustable crotch grabber. Just watch out for this top surface, it's very shiny and reflective. It'll get scuffed up very quickly if you're not mindful of how you're posing Batgirl's feet on it. I love me some Bat gadgets, and the cryptographic sequencer is no exception. In 1/6 scale, you can remove the screen if you don't want it there. The joysticks have some silver paint applications around the edges. It doesn't fold up, for those wondering. The screen is translucent plastic, and the printing is surprisingly sharp for as small as this piece is. We get two faceplates in total, one smirking, one neutral. The one on the right was installed on her out of the box. They attach magnetically, and we'll discuss them in more detail a little bit later. Oh hell yes, classic Batman Arkham Batarangs. I just wish they folded up. They can't fold, they're just sculpted pieces of ABS plastic painted in gunmetal and metallic silver. Dude, they did not have to go this hard with the oil stain wash and weathering on Batgirl's grappling gun. Versus what we usually get, big difference. I vastly prefer the weathering on this piece. You can remove this front part, that's a carryover from Batman, she doesn't come with any switch out pieces, but you can remove the grappling hook. Then you can bring in this cable. This is a real metal braided cable with a grappling hook on the end of it. Plugs in nice and securely with this little gold plug. However, it's not wired. Why isn't this wired? Imagine being able to pose it like that, but as it stands, this is a limp, flaccid, floppy mess. Probably not the best choice of adjectives. I stick by what I said. Lastly, a full array of hands, ranging from these almost relaxed open palm ones, but the wrist pegs, they're at an angle for some reason. 2 closed fists, already installed on her right out of the box. 2 batarang holding hands. 2 different gripping hands from left to right. The trigger finger is extended out more for the right side, and the fingers, they're pretty rigid. You may have to heat them up first before you pop accessories in them. And finally, a 2-finger pointing hand that can also be used as a I'm touching the side of my cowl and communicating with Batman hand, and a splayed out finger open palm hand for the left. The detail is sharp as all the way round, with the wrinkling right there, the ribbing, the honeycomb patterns, and the raised bits on the outside painted in metallic gold. What we're going to do now is get Batgirl herself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Now, we all hate recolors. Recolor is a bit of a dirty word when it comes to 1/6 scale figures because the price point is so high we really shouldn't be getting them. However, this figure right here has almost converted me because the metallic color scheme and how iconic it is, it's got roots in the comics for Batgirl. And then them taking one of their best Arkham figures of all time and using that color scheme on it. They've delivered the goods with this. They straight up cooked. Killer proportions, great silhouette, and they've improved certain things over the original. There's only one thing. That's a downgrade versus the 1.0. And that's the cape material. They always struggle with capes. I should have expected it, actually, now that I think about it. Either way, doesn't ruin Batgirl for me. I'm still really impressed. Up close and personal, I'm tempted to be really lazy here and just say that this is the 1.0 done in purple and gold. I wouldn't do that to you. That video is 3 years old, that figure came out ages ago, and it's not my best work, so let's dive in deeper. There is genuinely more for us to discuss, starting off with her head sculpt. And the more neutral of the 2 mouth plates. We'll pop in the smirking one because I reckon it's the mouth plate I'm going to rock her with long term. Skin texture wise on the mouth plate, it's mostly painted, there's a little bit of sculpted skin texture, and some details sculpted in for her bottom lip. The top one looks a lot smoother. The skin around her eyes is a little bit darker this time versus the 1.0, there's some shading on it. And the cowl, while the mold is the same, it's quite clearly metallic purple, whereas the original was more of a satin black finish. And there's some airbrush shading over the panel lines, which adds a lot of depth right there. You can see it as light bounces off the surface. The sculpt has always been 99% on model for me. I never had any complaints with the original. I might be in the minority though, because I have seen people saying that this sculpt is quite ugly, it's too long, and the armor plates on her ears throw off the silhouette, the sleekness of the cowl. These bump out bits, and then the bat ears are too geometric, and the eye holes are too large. All of those complaints, they're valid. But they should be pointed at the video game model versus the 1/6 scale figure, because this is just accurately recreating what was seen in the game, and they pretty much nailed it, in my opinion. This sculpt, in this color scheme, on this outfit, with the smirking mouth plate, and the way the eyes have been painted, they look very realistic. This, 100% of the time, is how I'm going to display her, probably even with a head tilt forward. The only thing that could make this head sculpt even better for me is moving eyes. I really wish she had them. Whoa, That is quite the glow up with the rooted hair. I will show you the 1.0 in a minute, but compared to this, that one is a frizzy nightmare. This is slick looking, there's flow to it, and it was like this right out of the box. I've not touched it. It comes across extremely realistic because it is rooted hair sticking out of the back part of the cowl. And that means it's not going to get in the way of articulation because it's properly flexible. They've used different colored strands in the mix to make sure there's plenty of depth to it. It's not all just one color. Yes, the 1.0, that's what she looks like. The hair, as I said, is frizzy. There's bits going everywhere. It's softer because there's almost no product in it. There's more waviness going on. But it's a night and day difference. If I had to pick, I'm going with the new one on the left every day of the week. It's pretty rigid. It wants to move as one clump when I twist the head sculpt round. However, if you're rough with it during posing, this is not artisan quality wool hair. It's not as porous and as fine as wool hair is. So it will split and the strands will go everywhere if you put too much pressure on it when you're trying to get her into dynamic poses. Enough about the hair, let's talk about the cape. Can you hear this? I'll be quiet for a second. Not ASMR. That is awful. I've got no idea why they made this cape out of this papery, waxy, nasty feeling material. The only things I like about it, the gold screen printing up top, it's wired in the spines and along the edges, the scallops at the bottom, these heavily textured panels, and the gold fabric lining. That's it. The construction of it, how bulky it is, heaps of complaints from me regarding the cape. If someone starts making custom capes, I'll be switching this out immediately. Even over her shoulders, it looks bulky. You can press it down, but the wires, they don't sit here over the traps. They're at the front. You can shape it not well enough. This cape has got to go. It's ruining an otherwise beautiful looking 1/6 scale piece. It's held in place with that metallic gold edged and purple bat brooch pin thing, and a press stud around the back underneath it. The outfit just looks so functional. It's almost Nolan-verse-esque with the mesh-style sculpted detail work underneath the armor plating. That right there looks like a Nolan-verse Batgirl suit. But then we've got the buckles and the straps, all part of the rubbery outfit, the rivets and the panel lines, and the darker sections with some ribbing on them. Then for the neck cover, this honeycomb texture with some panel lines on it too. I was worried when I got the original Batgirl that this suit wouldn't hold up. It has held up no problem. Granted, I don't pose my figures a ton, but every now and then I'll switch up the pose on Batgirl and there's been no cracking or creasing. It's mostly because of the clever engineering. Like, it's seriously brilliant what they've done here. The chest armor plate and the sleeves, they're all one piece. There's a seam underneath it right there. Then the ab armor sits under the chest plate. The legs, they're plugged in separately, but we'll come back to them. And they've hollowed out the underside of the armpits, so you can push her arms up and then in, so they sit completely flush down by her sides, which is just unheard of for a Bat family character wearing a rubber suit like this. Detail-wise, there's also a lot more to look at around the back. I didn't mean to stop the clip where I did, I'm sorry, but yeah, there's no denying it. Batgirl's got some cake going on back here, and it continues on to the bottom part for her legs that sits underneath this rubbery flap, so when you move the legs forward, nothing is broken up around the back sculpt work-wise. Her belt is free-floating and adjustable, almost. It's pinned in place at the front under this bat symbol, but you can articulate it up and down to get it to sit at an angle. Whereas the gauntlets, they're properly free-floating. You can swivel these as much as you like to flare out the fins. But it's the color. That metallic flake for the purple. And then the flat, darker bluish purple. With the really shiny metallic gold. Look at how reflective that is. And the lining for the cape. It all comes together to make for something that is absolutely going to pop on your shelf. Now the hips. Is that ugly? Yeah, a little. You can see the ledge there, how the hips sit over the top part of the thighs. The reason they've done that is so you can move the legs forward, whereas if it was a rubbery pair of pants, you would get no range out of them. Or you'd get some and you'd crease the shit out of those pants. I prefer this, because from a distance, it looks like a shadow in between armor plating. It's not a big deal for me. There's some rib sections on the inside of her thighs. This is all rubbery plastic. More silver painted rivets, and this panel on the outside of her legs with some wrinkling and stitching on it. These boots are beautiful. The wrinkling, the bat symbol up top. In fact, let's count the bat symbol. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Batgirl's outfit. And if she's holding a batarang, that's another one. There's darker shading in the wrinkles up top. These are PVC plastic, so they won't break on you. Then we've got the purple chevrons. Her legs get quite skinny towards the ankles, then they flare out for the wrinkles, disguising the split-cut boot design. Not perfectly, but it's enough so that it doesn't jump out at me. Then there's a black wash in the sculpted panel lines and more darker shading on her feet. On the underside, she's wearing these platform heels, but there's some sculpted detail under there. That's been hit with a grey dry brush, so all of it stands out. For a quick side-by-side comparison, don't they look fantastic standing together? Let me break it down for you real quick. I'll keep it as simple as possible. If you're after something game accurate, you don't care for the metallics, get the figure on the right. Or if you already have her, stick with that one. However, if the purple and gold is catching your eye, and you like the newer style rooted hair, and the longer cape, let's not talk about the cape material, the figure on the left is the one for you. How about me? Which do I prefer? I don't know. I don't think I could pick. I'm just glad that I've got both of them so they can both go in the Arkham display. Please, Hot Toys, give us a 2.0 Arkham Knight Batman, because this one's proportions leave a lot to be desired. He's got huge fists, his shoulders are weird, he's got no neck. I think it's time for a new one. Next to Batgirl, does this one work? Yes, but only just. I think the darker color palette of the game-accurate Batgirl works better alongside this Batman. But not this one. Prestige Arkham Knight Batman with the gold symbol and the darker color palette for the outfit, then the metallic shiny gold belt, and the blue shading for his gauntlets and boots. These two? They're going to be displayed together in my collection. For the longest time, I didn't know what to do with Prestige Arkham Knight Batman. Now I do. Arkham Asylum Joker is still one of their best Joker figures ever. He is that good. He's very game accurate with the lanky proportions, the super skinny legs and arms, and he's got that blood splatter on his vest. That's not something we get with a lot of DC figures. Next to Batgirl, he's significantly taller. If this is something you had in mind, a pre-Oracle version of Batgirl next to Joker, now you know what it looks like. Such an underrated figure. Whenever I see people's collection tours, I barely ever spot Arkham Knight / Red Hood, and I've got no idea why, because he's genuinely incredible. I've got mine currently displayed as Red Hood, and the shiny, glossy, metallic helmet, next to Batgirl's metallic outfit, aesthetically speaking, I think this works. Going over articulation, even though the original version of this Batgirl using this mold was released 3 years ago now at the time of filming this video, I think you're about to find out that the engineering was way ahead of its time. Starting off with Barbara's head sculpt, ball joint at the base of the rubbery neck, then a double ball peg underneath the head itself. Looking forward on both joints to there, looking up to there, plenty of range for a gliding pose. The rooted hair does not get in the way whatsoever. Swivel and tons of pivot side to side. Just the arms alone. They go completely flush down by her sides, which isn't possible with most rubber-suited Arkham figures like this. To achieve it, they hollowed out the underside of the armpits so the rubbery suit can tuck into that gap. Going up to there on clicky ratchets, forward and back, somehow even clickier. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that's also on ratchets that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep. I like to bend the elbow first to use that as leverage to help me access that joint. Now the instructions specifically say that this is only a 90-degree bend. you can get it to 90 no problem, but it's a double bend at the elbow on ratchets and it goes way past 90. So don't believe everything you read in Hot Toys instructions, I guess. Then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. But this is the engineering I'm talking about. The chest armor is a separate piece that sits over the top of the ab armor, allowing for, hopefully, a little bit more range. Crunching forward to there, it buckles, but you can adjust it. Going back to there, swivel, and pivot side to side. Some collectors didn't like the gaps at the hips. From most angles, you can't really see them. It's well integrated into the design, and that means you can articulate the legs forward without putting pressure on the rubbery outfit. They go forward on clicky ratchets to there and spring out a touch. Going out to there, also on ratchets, swivel at that hip joint. The cutouts around the back of the boots, the exposed joints covered with pleather. Don't love the pleather, but I dig the range. Her knees will bend just past 90, and once again, no pressure being put on the rubbery outfit. Then for the ankles, a split cut boot design and a hinge and swivel. Currently set up forward and back, so you get forward and back range as well as swivel. But if you want ankle tilt, you need to rotate the joint underneath the boot guard so it's facing left and right, then you'll be able to access that range. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing, I'm sure to nobody's surprise, is the outside cape material. This stuff on the inside, that's fine. But whatever they've used on the outside, it's creased up and wrinkled right out of the box. It looks and feels and sounds like a trash bag. It is so cheap and nasty. I hope they never use this material for capes again. The second annoying thing is a minor one, and I think it's worth the trade-off. But it's pretty fiddly to access the switch out mouth plates. You need to tilt the head sculpt all the way back, potentially ruining the rooted hair. Then you can wedge the tool underneath the chin for the cowl and push the mouth plates out. Just make sure you're not scuffing up the paint applications on the neck piece or the cowl when you're doing that. The third annoying thing, you can tell that I'm struggling to find annoying things, yeah? Because I wouldn't normally grab the base for this segment. Here we are. The nameplate, it fits with the color scheme for Batgirl and the artwork on top of the base, but then again, all of the rest of the figures in the Arkham line, they've got these silver etched looking nameplates. I'm not sure if I would have preferred this over what they gave us, but maybe just include both, so you can choose. The first cool thing, the rooted hair. It's still synthetic, exactly like this one. But it's been properly styled right out of the box. The figure on the right never looked like that, even when she was brand new. The second cool thing is the stock cape is surprisingly easy to remove. It's held in place with that bat-shaped pin and a press stud around the back, so you can take it off if we ever get a custom cape from Jackson Jew or Unreal Toys, which I'm hoping does happen. Third cool thing is the adjustable belt, being able to tilt it to make her look more sassy or to help sell dynamic poses. That is a nice touch. Wrapping up on the Hot Toys exclusive purple and gold colorway for Arkham Knight Batgirl. Is she worth getting? Simple question. Simple answer? Yeah, I reckon she is. If you're an Arkham fan, if you're a Batgirl fan, you like Batgirl Burnside, that color palette, and you've always thought the Arkham Knight suit would be interesting in those colors, this piece is for you. If you couldn't care less about any of that, you only want game accuracy, plain and simple, get the original. That figure still holds up to this day. But this one is something else entirely. The metallic purple, the metallic gold, the yellow lining for the inside of the cape, the fixed, rooted hair, the switch out mouth plates. Yes, we got those with the original, but the detail is even better this time. This Batgirl is now one of my favorite Arkham figures in my collection. And that's crazy because this was supposed to be just a lazy recolor. But she ended up winning me over. So much so that now I'm sitting here thinking maybe we should get more Arkham recolors potentially. That could be taking it a step too far. We'll have to wait and see what they give us in the future. But for right now, if you're on the fence about this Batgirl, get off the frickin' fence. cop this piece, you aren't going to regret it. The only thing that I would say you need to watch out for is the cape. It's tricky to work with, it feels cheap, it's wrinkled right out of the box. Going in, you need to know all of that stuff. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. I've popped a link to their site in the description, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you decide to buy from them. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. While you're down in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.